Dear students, you are quite welcome to Balu's classroom. Today we are going to take the lesson, The Snake and the Mirror. The Snake and the Mirror is written by Vaikam Muhammad Bashir in Malayalam. It is translated to English by V. Abdullah. Here is a message in this chapter. Do you know what is the message of the story, The Snake and the Mirror? The message in the story, Snake and the Mirror, conveys the message that one should never be proud of one's beauty, strength, or achievements. The fear of death makes a person realize how futile the worldly achievements are. It is faith in God and modesty in thoughts which make a person very strong. Vaikam Muhammad Bashir was born in January 21st in 1908 and he passed away 5th July 1994. He is fondly known as Bepur Sultan and he was an Indian independence activist and writer of Malayalam literature. He was a writer, humanist, freedom fighter, novelist, and short story writer, noted for his path-breaking, down-to-earth style of writing that made him equally popular among literary critics as well as the common man. His noble works include ബാല്യകാലസഖി, ശബ്ദങ്ങൾ, പാത്തുമ്മയുടെ ആട്, മതിലുകൾ, ജന്മദിനം, and അനർഘ നിമിഷം. And the translations of his works into other languages have earned him worldwide acclaim. The government of India awarded him the fourth highest civilian honor of the Padma Shri in 1982. He was also a recipient of the Sahitya Academy Fellowship, Kerala Sahitya Academy Fellowship, and the Kerala State Film Award for Best Story Writer. So we can go through the story. The story is a narrative within the narrative. The writer tells us the story which was told to him by a homeopathic doctor. As we see from the title, the snake and the mirror are the two most important things in the story. This homeopathic doctor encountered a snake. The snake fell on the doctor. When the snake saw its reflection in the mirror, it was more interested in that and the doctor's life was saved. The homeopathic doctor is narrating the story. He asks the writer and the group if anyone had ever been wrapped up by a cobra snake. The audience became silent due to the fear of the cobra snake. Then the doctor narrated his story. It was a hot summer night, almost 10 o'clock. He was returning home after having his dinner at the restaurant. As the doctor was opening the door of his room, he heard a noise from above, but he did not react because he was used to such noises. He was used to listen to this kind of noise. It was the noise of rats. There were many rats in his room, so he was used to the noise. There was no light in the doctor's room, so he lighted the kerosene lamp with a matchbox. He had taken a small room on rent. So these sentences shows that the doctor was very poor and he could not afford even the electricity in his house. And as he had just started his medical practice, he was earning very less. That is why he was living in such a shabby, dirty condition. He told the writer that he had just 60 rupees in his bag. Further, He added that he had some shirts and dhotis to wear. He also had a black colored coat which he was wearing at the time of the incident. He removed his coat, his shirt, and his vest. He says that the vest was not so white, which means that it was very dirty. Then he opened the windows. The room which he had taken on rent was on the outside of the house, and one wall of the room faced the garden. The roof had tiles on it, and the gable was supported by the beams. Inside the room, there was no roof. The beam on which the gable was supported was full of rats, which went in and out of the room through it. He sent his bed. He set his bed near the wall, and he laid down to sleep, but could not sleep. It seemed that the wind god had taken time of means that as the wind was not blowing, the wind god had taken a day off. It was on a holiday, and so wind was not blowing at all. He had gone out to get some fresh air because he did not have any fan or cooler in his room and he was feeling hot. He came back to his room and sat on a chair. And he opened the box under the table and took out a book named Materia Medica. He kept it on the same table on which a lamp, a mirror, and a small comb was lying. He opened it and sat down. As he was sitting in front of the mirror, he looked at his image in the mirror. He says that he was a great admirer of beauty. As he was a young man, he liked to appreciate beautiful things and wanted to improve his looks to look more handsome. As he was unmarried, that was a strange thing, and he was a doctor too. He was an eligible bachelor. So he wanted to make people know that he was also available. He combed his hair, trying to set them properly. When he was combing his hair, he again heard the same sound from above but ignored it. He looked carefully in the mirror and decided that he would shave on daily and grow a thin mustache because he thought that he would look better and more handsome with it. The doctor repeats that he was not married and was a doctor too. So he wanted to say that he was supposed to look very handsome. He was supposed to be good looking so that he could get a better match for himself. It was due to his greedy nature. He appreciated himself and said that he had an attractive smile. He thinks that he is very much handsome. Another thing that he decided was that he would always keep smiling because he looked better when he smiled. The doctor was being ironic when he said that to keep smiling was an earth-shaking decision. Again, he is stressing that he was a bachelor, and to add to it, he was also a doctor. He thought that he had a lot of value, and that is why he wanted to look handsome. He got up from his chair and started walking up and down in the room, and then he decided on one more thing. He decided to marry a woman doctor, one who had lots of money and a good medical practice. Further, the doctor thought that he would marry a fat girl. For that, he had a logical reason also. He reasoned that if sometime he makes some mistake and his wife chases him in the anger to hit him, she will not be able to run fast and catch him if she would be fat. Thinking all these things, the poor doctor again sat down on the chair. Now the sound had stopped, but all of a sudden something fell down, making the sound of a thud. It felt like some rubber tube and fallen, and the doctor did not bother about it. But then he thought of turning around to see what had fallen. As soon as the doctor turned, he saw that a big fat snake had crawled over this chair and sat on his shoulders. The timing of the doctor's turning round and the snake's landing on his shoulder was same. He did not panic, jump or terrible. He did not shiver, he did not scream. It happened so fast, so instantly that he did not have any time to react. The snake moved in such a way that it wrapped itself on the doctor's left arm like a coil. It was in such a position, just 3 or 4 inches away from his face, that if he would have moved slightly, the snake could have bitten him. The doctor says that he was not only holding his breath, but had turned into a stone, just like a statue. Although physically he was still like a statue, but his mind was very actively. He was thinking what he should do next. There was darkness all round him. Outside the room, inside the room, it was all very dark. There was only a single light, the light of the lamp, and in that light, he was sitting like a statue. As he was in trouble, he started feeling the presence of God. He was not able to do anything, so he started thinking of God. He decided not to speak lest he should anger the snake. In his heart, the doctor was praying to God to save his life. And this snake was coiled itself. It had wrapped itself round his arm. It was experiencing a lot of pain. He was feeling as if a thick molten roll made of lead was crushing his arm and breaking it. He felt helpless. He could not do anything to save himself. He knew that if he moved a bit, the snake would attack him. That was very near. He was sitting the distance of 4 inches. He thought that if the snake bit him, then what would he do? Which medicine he would take? And then he recalled that there was no medicine in his room. He felt that he was a very poor, foolish, and stupid doctor. He was feeling very weak, and as he did not have any way to come out of the situation, he smiled at his foolishness. The doctor felt that God appreciated the doctor's realization of his mistake. Something favorable happened and the doctor's life was saved. The snake moved its head to the other side and saw the mirror. It looked at the mirror and it saw its own reflection in it. It is not possible that any snake had never looked at itself in the mirror before. But yes, this snake was looking at itself in the mirror, and the doctor was surprised because the snake was looking at itself in the mirror very carefully. He was thinking that maybe it was admiring its beauty. The doctor imagines that the snake must be imagining different styles like he was thinking few minutes back when he was looking at his face in the mirror. He thought that maybe the snake was thinking of growing a mustache, or maybe of wearing eyeshadow or mascara to look more pretty, or maybe it was thinking of wearing a red colored bindi on its forehead. The doctor did not know whether it was a male or a female snake, and he says that He will never come to know this because just then it crawled from his arm and moved down into his lap. From there, it jumped and started crawling over the table. It crawled very close to the mirror and started looking at itself. The doctor thought that maybe Snake wanted to look at itself and have a closer look at its appearance. The doctor was no longer a mere statue made of stone. As soon as the snake crawled and got down from him, he came back to life. As the snake had crawled out of doctor's lap, he stood up. Till now he had stopped his breath because he was scared of the snake. Now he quite moved out of the door, jumped from the garden and ran away. All the people who were listening to the doctor's story got relief and took a deep breath after they came to know that he was saved. And someone from that group asked him whether his wife was fat or not. He replied that his wife was thin and tall, just like a reed plant, because God didn't want his wife to be fat. So she was thin and could run fast. Another person from the group asked him whether the snake chased him. He replied that he ran and ran till he reached a friend's house. There he took an oil massage, took bath and wore fresh clothes. He did not know if the snake had chased him or not because he did not look behind him. The next day, around 8:30 in the morning, the doctor, along with the two of his friends, went into the room to bring his belongings from there. There was not much stuff to take. Someone had stolen most of the things from his room, but left behind one thing. He thought that the thing which he left behind was to insult him. The writer asked the doctor, what was the thing which the thief left behind? He replied that he left the vest, which was dirty and was hanging on the wall. He added that the thief was so much into cleanliness that he left the dirty vest there only. He says that the naughty thief could have taken it along with him, washed it with a soap, and could have used it. Someone asked the doctor if he saw the snake the next day. He laughed and replied that after that night he never saw that snake. Maybe the snake was attracted towards its own beauty. That is why it looked so carefully in the mirror. So this is the story of The Snake and the Mirror, written by Vaikam Muhammad Bashir and in Malayalam. And it was translated to English by V. Abdullah.